bringing old ships to life.
Hello everybody, it's Jamie, as you all now well know, and welcome back to a long overdue video once again. Now today we're back with a what if, and the what if topic of today is what if the HMT Queen Mary sank. So yeah, let's get started. Now before we get into the story, we always have to detail the specifics of the Mary. Now the Queen Mary measured 310.7 meters long, 36 meters wide, and she was installed with steam turbine engines and was capable of a top speed of 32 knots. She measured 80.774 gross registered tons. She was built by the John Brown and Company and entered service in May 1936, eventually entering service as a troop ship in World War II in March 1940. Now on to this what if. The Queen Mary was damaged after sinking one of her escorts, the HMS Curaçao. More misfortune came upon the ship when some of her steam turbines failed, causing the ship to max out at a speed between 25 to 27 knots. Now, at this time, Germany had an actual bounty on the ship for any German commander who could sink her. On the evening of October the 3rd, 1942, the German submarine U-329, under the command of Admiral Kohler, had spotted the damaged ship. Now approaching U-329 and soon Commander Admiral Kohler realized it was the Queen Mary. Now knowing the ship's speed, he began to strike an attack. Despite the huge risks, Captain Kohler fired 5 torpedoes at the ship, and by chance 3 of the torpedoes had struck the Queen Mary. The first had struck boiler room 1 and 2, and the second torpedo struck boiler room 4, and the third struck the aft engine room, also rupturing a hole into the forward engine room. This attack was almost unbelievable, and when Captain Kohler radioed back to Germany, large 3-stacked transport sighted, identified as Queen Mary, had been torpedoed. German officials almost couldn't believe it, because of just how fast the Queen Mary was compared to their submarines. As the Queen Mary slowed down, U-329 came closer for another attack. Driven by the bounty, the captain ordered another 2 torpedoes to be fired. Unfortunately, one had failed to detonate, but the other had struck the number 5 boiler room, which was the final blow. U-329 and her crew watched in celebration from a distance as the great liner went down. Meanwhile, destroyers were frantically searching for them, as well as corvettes. 2 days later, U-329 would be sunk by depth charges. Captain Admiral Kohler and 2 other crewmen died. The Queen Mary quickly heeled over to starboard, slowly capsizing as soldiers and crew rushed to climb onto the ship's port side. It took a total of 4 hours and 45 minutes for the ship to go fully under. The Queen Mary became the worst British maritime disaster in history, almost comparable to the Wilhelm Gustloff. Both the US and Britain were in complete shock, driving the hatred towards Germany even more. The US began a new troopship building program, building from 13 to 15,000 gross transport for the war. When the war came to an end, the loss of the Queen Mary was still a fresh wound to the British and Americans. Cunard, having suffered such a tragic and taunting loss, was left with the Queen Elizabeth. They were given a large sum of money and a number of merchant ships in place for the lost Queen Mary, and used the money to build 2 new ships to replace her. In 1948, Cunard announced the launching of their 2 new 35,000 gross ton ships, the Cameronia and the Cephalonia. They would replace the Queen Mary's service and would have had uneventful careers. In the mid-1960s, the ships were repainted in the Cunard cruising green, as the passenger market wasn't going well for Cunard nor Queen Elizabeth. The Cameronia and the Cephalonia were laid up in 1972 and 1973 after operating an unsuccessful cruising service, and were sold off to various companies in the following years. However, Cunard was able to get back onto its feet with the new Queen Elizabeth II. Before all this, the company began flying the Cunard flag at half-mast between October the 3rd to October the 4th, and any parties or big events wouldn't be held during these times to commemorate the Queen Mary disaster. In 2017, Cunard unveiled a monument at the former John Brown and Company shipyard, a replica of the Queen Mary's anchor, with the names of soldiers written on the anchor, was placed at the front of where the Queen Mary had been built. And that is the end of a video, my friends. A quick disclaimer: the U-boat, the captain of the U-boat, the Cameronia, the Cephalonia, they were all just part of the story to make the alternate timeline as real as possible. And with that out of the way, guys, I hope you liked this video and loved it. I certainly loved making this one. I always like making what ifs. It gives you a kind of playgrounds with the ideas of what could have happened. With this what if, this is my personal opinion of what I think would have happened to the Cunard line if the Queen Mary sank. If you have any other ideas or any other timelines, please leave them in the comments down below, because I love reading your theories on what would have happened with these what ifs. Now, I quickly also want to take a moment to thank all my new subscribers who have subscribed. We are growing, and it means so much to me personally that all of you guys love my content and watch me talk, even though my English is not the best. But if you have friends who like ocean liners or ships in general, please show them my channel. We are now trying to reach the 900 subscribers, and we are extremely close to reaching that goal. Again, my friends, thank you very much for watching. If you have any ideas also or comments, please leave them in the description down below. I love reading them, really. I love reading your theories with these what ifs. So if you have any comments or ideas, leave them in the description down below. I love reading them and I reply to each and every one of them. So my friends, I wish you a good night or day wherever you are, and we will see each other on the next video. Goodbye, my friends.
Follow old shipping lines on social media.
Thanks for watching.